I just think popular culture of today, or maybe the last 10, 15 years, has just become really tired. So I feel like there's just so many like sides, like people wanting to complain about what others are doing. And my mom was always right. She's like, who cares what people do on the internet or what they think? But sometimes I'm just curious and I'm like, and tonight I was truly curious. Were these AI bots that were writing these comments on Facebook? Because I haven't been on Facebook in a hot minute, because I don't know. It's just every time I go on that Facebook, I never I just don't really enjoy it. So I stopped posting there very much at all. But tonight there's like these weird like posts from these pages, and I'm not exactly, in the past I'd kind of dig deep to see what they were promoting, and usually be like a radio station or some product. But today it just seemed gibberish, because it was talking about, oh, like how the people of today are like this and that, and there were a whole bunch of people saying things like, oh, because everybody got a trophy so their feelings get hurt easily. And I'm thinking, okay, just back it up a bit. Back it up a bit. Like, it's just, I don't know. It just seems like I'm not really sure exactly what the vibe is, because I'm kind of staying out of it, to be honest. But it just seems like ever since the election, like you would think, oh, people, they're happy that their Clomper won. It's not somebody I would have voted for. But they can't even have that. Like now it's like, oh my gosh, it's like some sort of a referendum for, oh, like we're gonna stick it to everybody, and people are saying things like, oh, you know, the people that always got the trophies. Like, who are these people that just got a trophy for participating in sports, and why do you care? Because first off, are these the people that used to like be kind of jerks, like when you were in middle school and you were required to be in PE and you didn't even care? Like, can I be honest? I don't care about sports. I know there's so many people on this planet, and they seem to be like just getting kind of triggered, kind of upset. And if they're such winners, why are they upset about this? That, oh, like back in the 80s and early 90s, like you needed to play on sports teams, either the parents or the kids. Like, because I remember being a kid in the late 80s, early 90s, like you would get harassed and bullied if you didn't have like any athletic ability to play basketball or whatever sport. And then these kids would just brag about how they were in sports. I'm just talking about popular culture and how some of this is just kind of ridiculous. So it's the people that are upset about, oh no, they're mad that everybody gets a trophy for being in sports now. Because when I was a kid, like in the late 80s, early 90s, I guess at that time people got trophies because they had true sportsmanship. But um well, I don't know what you're doing here, because that's just not the message that I'm into. You can just, you want to talk like that, go away. We don't have negative talk here. So yeah, these people, they're getting really upset that I guess sports evolved somehow and it was more inclusive, and people got a trophy for like playing the sport. And I don't even know why people care. My sister, she used to do track and cross country, and I guess they got a trophy for going to a meet. And then some people are like, but it took away from the people who like get like who win. Like, and I don't even care. Because honestly, as somebody who never liked sports and found the people who always acted like you had to be in sports or be good at sports, I'm like, who is this? This guy? The one with the finger? We'll just take him away. I don't even know what that means. He's gone. So, I took the other person away. Their comment's gone. So, I just don't get why people are so obsessed with like people getting trophies. And I think it comes down to you have people that were bullies, okay? And I hate to say it, I think it's some of the Trumpies because they're just not like, I don't care about this election, but they weren't happy enough with their guy winning. Now they want to be like, oh, things can't be inclusive. And I need to talk about how I hate people that might be feminists. And I mean, I don't care. I'm not even a feminist, but honestly, it's like, if you're so happy with yourself, stop worrying about people who, how big or what. Are you okay? Good night to people who don't know how to think clearly. Anyway, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. So, popular culture, I don't think it's healthy. And I've never been into sports or like all these different things. And this is why I think Facebook is mush. And it's funny because all the boomers or the I don't know, Trumpy wumpers, they're on Facebook, like just getting excited about, like, oh my gosh, how they really hate, like, people that are inclusive, or they hate anybody who doesn't do things exactly like them. It's getting kind of strange. It really is. But what can I say? I don't think popular culture is healthy. A lot of it. There's just a lot of things going on right now that are very divisive. Like, you know, what I have a lot of concern. Like, just with this I wasn't even into the whole two-party thing. Like I said, I was a third party voter. But I'm just kind of worried right now about people that are going to use this upcoming administration to bully people, to go online and just write gibberish, or to get into hate mongering. And I'm not a fan of that. Like, this is another reason, just like, if you start seeing people get upset about like talking in generalizations, calling people a feminist like in a derogatory way, or calling somebody a trophy winner. Hi, I'm hoping people learn Spanish. Do you have any words? Well, I mean, if you want to translate words into Spanish, you should start a channel. I don't know, that would probably help. And then you can teach people how to speak Spanish. So, yeah, I feel like with this whole new administration coming up, I'm not going to cry about it, okay? I'm not going to cry that this guy who's I don't think is qualified to be president is going to be president. I'm not going to cry about it. But it's just, is this a preview for like how the country's gonna be? Is this okay, I have no idea what, you know, I will translate it later. If it's something bad, it's just gonna get deleted. So I don't know. You don't know how to say night. So hopefully I think you're saying no. I don't know how to say my mother in the thinking first, but I don't know. But this chat's not really about like Spanish translation. I mean, hi, how are you doing? So let's just see, like, what happens with this whole upcoming administration. Like, if people are going to be getting a little bit more cruel, a little bit more heated. I would say, just if you start seeing people say things that just seem a little bit hateful, like, don't engage in those chats, because there's just something. And I feel really sad because a lot of these people that are posting stuff like this, they're like my mom's age. They're like in their 70s, and they're on Facebook posting things, worried about people who got a trophy. They're worried about some 32-year-old woman who might have played soccer and she got a trophy for playing soccer, and now they think she's sensitive because she is into inclusivity. Like, if you're so like pro your religion or your political agenda, then do it. I'm just so over it. But anyway, in other news, is there anything positive going on in the world right now? I think there's a lot of good positive things right now. You should go watch Dr. Ramani's video on the Giving Tree, though, because I've been thinking a lot about this lately, about narcissists, because there's a lot of people, they talk about how they have been subjects of narcissistic abuse, and how very interesting experience actually with someone who ended up kind of being a narcissist, where they claimed that they were like a victim of narcissistic abuse, and it turned out this person was a narcissist towards me. And I hadn't really seen that in the beginning, but like after everything went through, it really was, because yeah, it was really strange. Like, as long as I was giving them things, like doing things for them, it was all good. But the minute I didn't want to do something anymore, oh no, and I had an opinion that wasn't theirs, then they decided to like just be kind of like really nasty, very cruel, just putting people down that don't fit into their category, but oh, all factual. So yeah. So it kind of had sat with me for a long time. I'm like, why? Like, why did that bother me? And I'll tell you why it bothered me, because I had looked at their channel again like a couple months ago, and we used to do this collaboration together, and they took some footage of something we had done years earlier, and they put it at the beginning of this one talk to make it seem like I supported some like political nation state statement that they had made, and that I used to feel that way, but I no longer felt that way, and how they somehow felt betrayed, or I just wasn't living up to the ideology. But I never believed in their ideology. So I realized something, like, and this was just one example. This person was so political. Their whole identity was based on politics. And they have some very strong opinions about politics, but they don't care about people, okay? Their whole big thing is, oh, they don't believe in reciprocity. And sometimes I do think reciprocity can be contrived, okay? Sometimes reciprocity is contrived. But what if it gets to the point that you have a working like collaboration with somebody, where you're doing like some sort of a talk together, and the whole time they were just using you as a tool to promote something. And when we would do those talks together, they were always kind of looking for ways to undermine things I said. And if I would come up with ideas like for talks we could do, they would always disparage it, and I never did that to them. And just the way things ended, and how it kind of ended on a bad note, where they told me that sometimes people dying in war, women and children, Palestinian people, are collateral damage. And right now, being part Syrian Lebanese and continuing to see what's happening in Lebanon, and they just no, I'm just so no. You know what I'm gonna do, because this is a completely inappropriate comment. So inappropriate. I'm definitely a woman, and I look like a woman, and you're just kind of being a bad egg. So I decided to move you out. I've always looked like a woman. I look 100% like a woman, a very feminine, very like born woman. Don't don't be rude. Like, so that person's gone, hidden from the channel forever. I'm sorry that we get some bad apples in here, like some really bad apples, because if they were looking to talk to someone who if they were looking to talk to someone where they really believe that was true, they'd be talking to somebody like an expert. They wouldn't be coming on YouTube. Very weird. But anyway, yeah. I just think it's kind of gross. Like right now, like going into this election, there's a lot of people that are like, we won. And they're like, oh, like, last time they were trying to say that they didn't. And look, I wasn't even a big fan of Biden. I wasn't a big fan of Kamala Harris. But their response, the whole January 6th thing, that was bad. That was a bad response. And now we have a president who, let's be honest, like, okay, president-elect, I don't think he exactly followed the law. I think Mike Pence did. And he just threw Mike Pence under the bus. And it's like, this is all okay. But I'm not going to fight with people who think, oh, this is democracy and democracy at work. It's not, because there's a lot of. Okay. There's just a lot of like really bad things going on right now in the world. Like, I think very bad behavior, and I feel like it all has to do with popular culture. And I guess this is my last bit about why I think popular culture is not healthy, because there's a lot of people who act like, oh, they're like so sage and they're experts and they're above popular culture. But at the end of the day, they use popular culture as a vehicle to promote themselves and to promote their brand. And yeah, if somebody's the kind of person that can never have like remorse for having done something just not nice, or like being wrong, or not being kind or truthful, or kind of being like a user, I don't think you should ever feel bad about how things ended with that kind of person. And the thing is, I look back upon it, and this is why I don't think internet collaborations are good. I just don't. I really don't think that they're of good use. I don't think they promote your channel in a good way. And you should only do, like, if you're going to do an online collaboration, maybe I'm really boring. And I'm not talking about ones where people do it with a brand. I'm talking about with different YouTubers. Because a lot of them end, and they end in really bad ways, okay? Like, really, really bad ways. And I've just had a lot of time to think about it. And I realized I was right. And I was in the right. And I was truthful. And I had honor and grace in the whole thing. And I probably deserved an apology from that person, but they'll never give it to me because I was just a vehicle. And I was only good to them as long as I played their game and I went along with anything that they wanted to do, even though we were like supposedly friends. And it was always okay for them to kind of disparage me in a way, like little subtle disparaging, but they would have other people on their like show where these people said things that they most certainly did not agree with, and they told me that openly. They said a lot of things that they didn't agree with, but because they wanted to build their brand and they wanted to do interviews, they were willing to just like kind of pretend like the person didn't say those things, but they would kind of openly um yeah, just kind of. And I tried to think like, what was the point of all this? It was to kind of like, they wanted to have some sort of hegemony. And it came down to other things too. Like, they said, oh, you have a really strong speaking voice, and they would say their voice was weaker. And I think that they did those things because they were intimidated by my voice, and I realized that later. My voice isn't even that strong, but it's like they just felt like some sort of intimidation that I have like some rapport with people. And rather than actually be truly happy for me, because I was happy for them. I was always happy for them, but I realized this person was never happy for me. They only were interested in me when I was providing some sort of entertainment for their show. And then I think when it became apparent that I wasn't gonna help them become like a viral YouTuber. Like, when it became apparent, they were willing to just like be like, oh, like get ruder and ruder, and I just, yeah. So when it comes to collaborations, and that's just one thing I think about it, because I don't even know why I spent so much time trying to be friends with this person, because when I first met them, they weren't nice to me. They came to some art because we used to be bloggers and just like critiqued me. And a lot of those people at that time, and I've noticed this with conservatives, they really want to critique liberal people and they want to find liberal people who they think, and I don't even consider myself a liberal anymore. In fact, I'm done with popular culture. Really, popular culture is just not healthy. It is not healthy because it's used for political fighting, it's used for divide and conquer politics, it's used to write a lot of nonsense on social media platforms. And I feel like there are vested interests who like, they love the tea. They love the tea and they love the drama. But I had to watch, like, I'm so glad I came across that video by Dr. Romani of the Giving Tree, where she said that, it was really just a tale of a narcissist who wanted to use somebody. And then the person was supposed to be happy that they were used. And I'm like, nobody's happy to be used. Nobody's happy to just be of like an accessory or a vehicle to someone. It doesn't. I know our society teaches us that, especially like some some groups of people, like religious groups or just even social groups, teach us that we should just give unto others, like, and never think of ourselves. And if you think of yourself, like, how dare you think about yourself? But I'm going to say in 2024 going into 2025, you should think of your mental health. You should think of your own well-being, and just cut these like political nonsense people out of your life. All these social media posts, like the people who worry about somebody who got a trophy instead of earning the trophy, and they worry about people not being valued for their merit. Why do they care? If they're so like strong in themselves, if they have this great merit and this great ability, why is it that other people living a certain way is a threat to them? Why do they need to recruit everybody into their way of thinking? Is it because they're insecure on some level? Because I do think so. I don't think they're as strong as they think, or they wouldn't need to like recruit people. They wouldn't need to simply put people down. They wouldn't need to use people to the point where they even blatantly just say that they don't believe in reciprocity. Because I'm not saying you should just have willy-nilly reciprocity, but there should be some reciprocity in life. Every transaction should have some reciprocity. It's not always about you. And for a long time I knew that was the truth, but when I finally realized it, like, I, last year when it finally just came to my mind, that I realized, like, it's not okay. It's not okay for you to always just push yourself, push your agenda, make it seem like you're right all the time, and never apologize for things you did. So, yeah, when it comes to collaborations, I definitely am deserving an apology from that person. I will never get it. I won't get it. But that's why I don't do collaborations anymore and I don't feel bad about it. And, there's a lot less friction in my life. And when I look at the news and I look at all these things about popular culture and people getting mad when they supposedly should be happy because their guy won, like, I would think like we would be talking about all the wonderful things that are going to happen. But I don't hear that. I don't hear anything like people are like, oh, the economy is going to be good. Really? With tariffs, like 25% tariffs, I'm not going to panic buy. But I just don't, like, what is it that sounds good? Oh, Elon Musk and his friends are gonna get a tax cut? Oh, okay. Like, but you can't afford your student loan or your house payment. But you're very worried about all these rich people that have already had tax cuts, but they need more because they're gonna improve the economy, even though the Muskie said that everybody should like tighten their belt more. I hope the economy gets better, but it doesn't really sound like it. There's been a lot of prognostication saying that, even though I just wasn't a fan of Kamala Harris either, she was a little bit more palatable than Trump. But at the end of the day, I'm just so over popular culture because neither of them were gonna come pay my rent or clean my house or be my best buddy or actually care about me. And just like collaborations at the end of the day, like when it comes to any kind of internet collaboration, people that you do those with, they don't care about you personally. They care about promoting themselves. They care about, I don't know, selling a book. They care about, oh, like having followers. They care about being a star. Like, even though, oh, like, can we be real? Unless you have like several million followers on YouTube, you're not a star. I'm so like, I guess I'm more grounded. I've always been more grounded. I don't have these illusions of grandeur. Like, I do YouTube for fun. Yeah, it'd be great to get more views, but I don't live in this fantasy land where I think, oh wow, I'm gonna be like a YouTube star. Like, that's for young people. That's like for somebody who's 18 that's doing something that has mass appeal. Like, I think everybody can be online, but I'm realistic. I know my demographic. Like, I do have people of all ages who watch me, but I also know like younger people are going to appeal to a much larger audience of younger people on YouTube. There are people my age, there's people all the way up into their 80s and 90s still using social media and having YouTube channels. I know there are some ages who think somebody over 30 shouldn't be on YouTube or TikTok. That's kind of silly. Like, people of all ages can be on social media because they talk about issues that pertain to them. Like the things I talk about, I think, like my experience is like it would be older millennial, younger Gen X, like Zennial type people, late 70s, early 80s people born in that demographic, because that's my point of reference. And my younger sister, she's definitely a millennial. So a lot of my thought process is going to be that. And I know like that's going to be the group of people where I think, because I know 80s songs and 90s songs, and those are going to be like, that's kind of just my reference point. I'm not 18, so I'm not going to have this mass appeal where I'm going to be a superstar. There are people my age that they have millions of followers and they are YouTube stars, but that's not me. And I've always been realistic about it. So, yeah, everything came full circle. And I finally realized back in 2008 when that person told me, oh, like Obama being elected was such a horrible thing. Although I liked Obama. Like, why do you care, Harris? Why do you care? Like, why do you care what gender somebody is assigned to? Like, I consider myself a woman. You consider yourself a man. If somebody else considers themselves something else, why do you care? Put your kids in a Catholic school. I don't know what to tell you. Because if that's your biggest problem, you're almost like the people that are complaining about, oh my gosh, like everybody gets a trophy now and they didn't really earn it. Like, really? Is that your biggest problem in life? Because to me, that's not my biggest problem in life. And I think people with school age kids are like worried about like working 3 jobs and paying their rent or mortgage. They're not worried about that, okay? You Can I just be honest? You're probably one of the people that got to stay at home during the panini. You didn't have to work. You didn't have to walk the city streets during the panini. You got to order your groceries and sit at home and worry about that. Like, really? That's what you're worried about, Harris. Uh, Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, if you believe that, then you do it. But for me, like, I know what I believe for myself. And if somebody asks me, I know what I can tell them about myself, but I'm not really worried about other people think and how they feel. Like, you can teach your family anything you want. And the wonderful thing about America is if you think that, by the way, I know this is a lie because I know teachers, okay? They don't spend all day talking about multiple genders in school. That's just not a thing. And if you are in a school where you think that the kids being taught something that you don't agree with, put them in a different school, put them in a charter school. This is not reality. This is your very insular obsession. Like, with everything that's going on in the world and people being killed in Lebanon, that's your main worry. Like, there are people, like innocent people, like my second to third cousins losing like their homes, and you're worried about what genders that they're teaching in school. Get over yourself, man. There's bigger problems in the world, and that's not it. This is why popular culture kind of has a problem. Anyway, thanks for watching.